The next thing that I'm going to cover for Photoshop is layers. So whenever you're looking at, or what is a layer, it's like pieces of paper on top of each other. Some of it is clear, some of it has images on it. And so we're going to look at what these layers actually do. The layer section is located over here, and I'm going to zoom in to a picture, and you can see that it says layers right here, and you have multiple layers. These are text layers right here that have been changed to images, so you can actually change them. They're called rasterization, where it's changing a text into something that is an editable picture. So you can add effects to it and so on. So this is one of the projects that we do, is that we take the letters of Texas and we superimpose images on those letters, making it a mask, and then we can rearrange them how we want to get something that looks pretty good for beginners. It's easy to figure out. Now, about layers, so I created a new document, and the first thing I want to do is create a text layer, and I'm just going to type a letter in. Actually, I'll just type Texas since we were just talking about that. Now over here in the layers, whenever you create a layer with text, it automatically creates a layer. So you see that this has a T in it for text, and then when you're done, you hit the check mark, and the name itself changes to what you typed. So in this case, I typed the word Texas in, so that became the layer's title. You see this little lock right here, that's the background, and it says that it's partially locked. To unlock it, we can double click it, and it's going to ask us to basically relabel the layer. If it says background, it's locked. But if we change it to layer 0, then that lock goes away and I can edit. So maybe I want to use a different color for something. Let's go to a red color, and then I'm going to change this to paintbrush, or I'm sorry, paint bucket, and layer 0 I'm going to change just to a red so I can see it. See, it didn't change the text or anything. You know, it's kind of bright. Might want to lower that one just a little bit. There's not quite so bright on the screen. And now my layer has changed and I can edit. Before I couldn't do that. So now whenever you have a text, it automatically creates a new layer. And so I hit the check mark, and again my layer has changed. So I can move around my layers by highlighting the layer that I need to be on, that I want to move, and then moving it around. But I have to highlight the layer first, and then I can move it around. I can only really edit one layer at a time unless I'm just moving a bunch of layers together, which I have to tell that, so I need to highlight both of them, and then I can move them around together at the same time. I'm going to go to the Texas tourism document and show you a couple of things about the layers. One of the things that I told you is that you can make the text into an image, which we call rasterization. So let's go back to this. If you right click and it says rasterize type. So now these do not have the T anymore, those are actually images now. And that's what happened to each of these letters. You'll also notice that each of them has an FX, which means we have some type of special effect on it, and those are the blending options. I can pull them down and see that these are the options that I have changed, and if I hit the outer glow, then the little red outline around the T disappeared. And if I hit the stroke, which is actually then outline, you see the black line around the T disappeared right around there. So when I put it back on, you'll see that that line is appearing. So these have helped these letters to pop out from the background and from the picture map. So an FX tells you that there is an effect on, at least one effect on each one of these. Now, if I have a bunch of effects that I want to use together, like I want to put these all on the same one, then I can tell by holding down the Option key, I can move this and copy it to each layer that I want to. Okay. And so then it'll appear here. Now on this one I added a little bit more because it was actually in the middle of the map, so I wanted to add a little bit of extra to it. So I'm going to take those down. So all of these layers right here are visible. There's a little eyeball. There's one more that's right here that doesn't have the eyeball on it. And if I click it, so this is actually the same outline, but it's not colored. So I don't want to see that one as much as I want to see this one. So I can take the eyeball and check it and tell it to basically be invisible while I'm working on my layers. If I need to work on this layer and I don't really want to see the letters, I just want to look at the map itself, then I can take the visibility off, the eyeball off, and work on it that way. So here, take the background off and I can visibly see this other one. Some other things about layers. So if you want to double click on this and change the label, then you double click on the layer itself, and then you can change the title of it, layer label as they call it, and I can change the order of them. So if I click the visibility here, I can't really see it as much because it's behind the other one. Now this one is somewhat opaque because I wanted the black background to make it more saturated in color versus the white, and you can see that the white adds lighter to it. But I like the darker colors on this one. So you can change your layers by just dragging them back and forth in the layer area. Now, I talked about how whenever you're doing a text, it automatically creates a new layer. There's a couple of other things that also do the same thing. Whenever you use the shape tool, which this is the line tool, and if you hold it down, you have your different shapes. And so made a red square, but it also made a shape 1 over here. And this works with lines, with shapes, or anything that's in this subcategory. So rounded, rectangle, ellipses, polygon, a line, or a custom shape. And those automatically create new layers. So I'm going to delete this one and go back to my original here. And I could also take something from a different picture. So let's select this picture, and I'm going to separate these by pulling the tabs apart. And I want to be on this one. So then I can take this and drag it to my other one, and whoops. Let's do that again. Make sure I'm in the move tool, not the select tool. Now I can move it over, and you see here is my letters, and it created those two layers because I pasted them in. I brought them from another one, so basically I pasted into new layers. So I can create new layers by text, by shape, or by pasting a new layer or dragging a new layer into my composition that I'm working on. So that is the introduction to the layers section, and I'll see you next time.